10 worst man-eaters that ever existed. This one might scare you. Are you a human?
Yes.
Then watch out. This is the list of all the animals that desperately want to eat you. It's seldom in the grand scheme of things that wild animals hunt and kill and eat humans, but not so rare that we don't have thousands of accounts of it happening. And there are some animals which are far worse than others, some species you'd never expect to end up on the list. One species that had a particular bad boy who took out triple digits on his own, and one animal responsible for more human deaths than any other. These are the 10 worst man-eaters that ever existed. Number 10. Jackals. Jackals aren't the biggest of all canines, but they are fierce, and they're one of the few canines that have many reports of attacking and killing humans. Jackals will usually be between 20 and 35 pounds. Of course, they can get bigger, but they always hunt in packs. If you have multiple jackals together, all working together, and all very hungry, then it starts to look like you have one big predator. Jackals have hunted and eaten humans, especially in areas where they cannot find food and people live nearby, like in many parts of Africa and India. One recent event in 2019 in Farakka, West Bengal, India, a 9-year-old boy was killed by a pack of jackals. His neighbors saw his half-eaten body getting dragged along by the 7 jackals so that they could go finish the rest of their meal elsewhere. You may be bigger than one jackal, but you don't outweigh a pack of jackals. And kids, they're even easier to pick off for this hungry canine. Number 9. Brown bears. There aren't quite as many bear attacks on humans as you may think. Usually it happens when people accidentally provoke a bear or encroach on its territory, or if a mother bear is with her young. But of all the bears, the one who probably has the most instances of attacks on humans is the brown bear. Brown bears in North America especially, they've been known to spot hikers and hunt them, waiting for an opportune moment to pounce. Oftentimes the brown bear is hungry, lacking other sources of prey, and he is more than excited to find a helpless human so far from home. There are instances of couples out for a hike and being killed and almost fully eaten by a 28-year-old brown bear. Many times when bears get older, they may be ill of the body or of the mind and can be overly aggressive to humans. In 2008, geologists were working at a salmon farm and dozens of hungry brown bears spotted them and took the opportunity to maim them and devour them. Once a man was out hiking in Montana and was spotted by a brown bear. The brown bear attacked him, killed him, and ate much of his body. The remains of his body that the bear didn't finish were found in Wyoming, an entirely different state. Apparently, that bear made a snack on the go of that poor man. Moral of the story? Always carry bear spray when you are out hiking, especially in the northern U.S. where brown bears are plentiful. Number 8. African crowned eagles. Here's the man-eating animal you'd last expect to see on this list. A bird, and not even an ostrich or something that is larger than adult humans. An African crowned eagle. Now, this eagle is no small bird. It generally weighs between 7 and 10 pounds, making it a fairly large eagle. The African crowned eagle is a bird of prey, an excellent predator in the sky, and it strikes fear into the hearts of small birds, mammals, and reptiles. But humans? Yes. Eyewitnesses have seen African crowned eagles attacking small children with hopes of turning them into a meal. In one instance, someone witnessed a 7-year-old boy being attacked by an African crowned eagle and barely getting away with his life. However, plenty of times people have found human skulls, children's skulls in the nests of African crowned eagles, along with various other human bones. That would make the African crowned eagle the only man-eating bird on the face of the planet. Number 7. Lions. When you hear the phrase man-eating, your brain probably first goes to lions. Yes, lions are apex predators of the African savannahs, usually of zebras and wildebeest and gazelles. But sometimes lions will head into villages late at night or even in the daytime, searching for human prey. They may do this because of illness. Maybe they are in old age and can no longer keep up with the zebras, but they can keep up with humans. Or maybe they are just starving. And these people are unfortunate enough to be living near enough. Occasionally, Lions will take karma into their own hands, like in 2016, when several men engaging in the illegal activity of rhino poaching were mauled by lions. The worst instance of this ever, and perhaps the event that really highlighted the phrase man-eating lions, was back in 1898. In what is now Kenya, what was then British East Africa, many workers were building a rail bridge. When two gigantic male lions happened upon the site, the lions leapt at the workers, slashing into some, biting into others, devouring limbs. Perhaps the lions were sadistic, or perhaps the frenzied workers were trying to stop them and only angering them further. But the lions wouldn't stop. In the end, it is believed they killed and/or ate about 130 workers. This moment was huge news. The British Prime Minister even had to halt the project. Lions have since been labeled as vicious killing machines, felines you don't want to mess with. But somehow, they may not even be the worst felines on our list. Number 6. Leopards. Leopards are another vicious big cat found throughout Africa and Asia, but due to their size and the fact that they often share terrain with lions or tigers, they aren't always the apex predator in their region, just another predator. Leopards are usually 3 to 5.5 feet long and can weigh between 60 to 140 pounds on average. Not nearly as big as your average 6 to 8 foot long 350 to 500 pounds lion, but are they worse man-eaters than lions? Leopards are believed to have become man-eaters because they often live in areas where small villages and towns don't have the means to properly cremate all their dead bodies. And when bodies are discarded, leopards find the remains and feast on them, and then develop a taste for humans. Leopards will usually attack at night, many reports of them having knocked down people's doors or their thatched roofs to get to people. And you thought those 2 lions killing 130 men was bad. The worst instance of a man-eating leopard was in India. This one particular menace of a leopard was cemented as killing 200 people all on his own. Now that particular feline may be the worst of all, but his species, leopards, still aren't even the worst feline on our list. Number 5. Pythons. So far we've only explored mammals and one bird. Let's give some love to the reptiles. Or maybe we shouldn't give love to them because they're man-eaters too. Like pythons, for instance. It doesn't happen so commonly. But they're big enough, and they can unhinge their jaws enough that it is all too real a possibility. And the evidence points to pythons eating humans frequently enough. And it's happened recently enough too. In 2017 in Indonesia, an adult male was found in the belly of a 23-foot python. In 2018, a woman was in her own yard when a reticulated python slithered in, wrapped around her, and devoured her. And in June of 2024, once again in Indonesia, a 45-year-old farmer had gone missing and then was found to have been eaten whole by a 16-foot python. There have even been instances of captive pythons attempting to eat their zookeepers before others stepped in to stop them. So, maybe watch out if you ever travel to Indonesia, or if you ever go into zoology. Number 4. Saltwater crocodiles. It wouldn't be a list without crocodiles. Saltwater crocodiles are vicious and huge, the largest reptiles on the planet, and if they see a human near enough, they will absolutely attack. And that attack will often turn into dinner. Saltwater crocodiles often grow up to 20 feet long, and sometimes even get longer than that. They typically can weigh over 2,000 pounds, 2,400 pounds being quite commonplace. These are gigantic animals with large appetites and large mouths. Powerful mouths, too, with a bite force of 3,700 psi, one of the strongest bites on the planet. It's no wonder nothing escapes its jaws. Saltwater crocodiles are found in southern Asia and northern Australia, and they will usually hunt all other types of animals and leave humans alone. But if humans are anywhere near, they don't discriminate. In fact, saltwater crocodiles are responsible for more human deaths than most other animals. They aren't quite the worst on our list, but seeing as how they have one of the top bite forces and they are the largest reptile and their tooth count probably goes higher than you can count, it's probably best to completely avoid these man-eaters. But they aren't the only reason you should stay out of the water. Number 3. Sharks. You had to know that sharks would wind up on this list. And yes, sharks are notorious for having killed and eaten plenty of people over the years. It may not be quite as commonplace as you think. In fact, most sharks have no or very few recorded kills of humans. It's just a few bad apples that are giving a bad name to the whole group. There are about 568 shark species in the world, but it's really just 4 of them that are responsible for large numbers of fatal, unprovoked attacks on humans. Those 4 sharks would be bull sharks, oceanic whitetip sharks, tiger sharks, and of course, great white sharks. At least that means if you see about 564 species of sharks out there in the water, you might be okay. But these are the 4. Okay, they're really bad. They have eaten their fair share of people, and then some. We often think of great whites as the biggest perpetrators here, and as a whole they might be, even if we exclude Jaws. But of all the singular events in history, the worst one was when the USS Indianapolis was sinking with many men aboard, as the men had been stranded in the middle of the ocean. Many sharks arrived, oceanic whitetips, and they terrorized these men for days, feeding on around 150 of the men. Number 2. Tigers. One of the worst sharks is a tiger shark. But how about just tigers? Yes, tigers are not just the largest cat in the world. They're also the cat with the highest number of recorded kills of humans. More than just that, they are the mammal with the highest number of recorded kills in the early 1900s. This was a massive problem in India. 1,000 people being killed each year by tigers. Usually, unlike with lions and leopards, tigers don't enter humans, towns, and villages looking for prey. It is when the people come to the tiger. The worst instance was one individual Bengal tigress in India, and she was worse than that leopard we detailed before. How much worse could it get? Twice as bad. She was responsible for the deaths of 436 people. Tigers may deal with starvation, especially as they continually lose much of their habitats as humans expand theirs. So when tigers are losing habitats and losing the opportunities to eat deer, pigs, whatever else they normally feast on, they have to find something else to prey on. And apparently, who better than the species that is stealing their land? Number 1. Nile crocodiles. But the absolute worst man-eater on planet Earth is the Nile crocodile. It's not surprising that a crocodile is atop this list. Perhaps that it is the Nile crocodile specifically. He isn't as big as the saltwater crocodile, but he's no small fry, usually between 13 and 15 feet long, weighing between 900 and 1,300 pounds. But one thing he does have on his side of all the known recorded bite forces in the animal kingdom. He has the highest 5,000 psi that hurts, and unfortunately, a lot of people have felt that pain. Nile crocodiles are responsible for more human deaths than any other animal and have had people for dinner more times than any other animal can count. Part of the reason is that Nile crocodiles live in sub-Saharan Africa near many populations of people living in poverty. And without infrastructure, they are easy pickings for the Nile crocodile, and these populations of people are usually quite large. The species as a whole is a terror to humanity. But of course, every species has their leader. The leader of the Nile crocodiles had a name, Gustav. Gustav roams the Rusizi River and the northern shores of Lake Tanganyika in Burundi. He is believed to have killed and eaten somewhere between 200 to 300 people on his own. There's a few things you can be sure of. 1. Gustav is well fed. 2. You don't want to meet Gustav. And 3. You don't want to run into any of these man-eaters. You don't even realize just how delicious you look in their eyes.